The distress signal pierced through the void of space, a desperate cry that echoed across multiple star systems. Fiza stood at the communications array aboard the Zeltarian colony ship Luminous Dawn, her three-fingered hands trembling as she broadcast the message again and again into the darkness. "This is colony ship Luminous Dawn. We are under attack. Requesting immediate assistance. Coordinates transmitted. Please, anyone who can hear this, help us." The Zeltarians were a peaceful species, philosophers and artists who had never known war until the Krath arrived. The insectoid raiders had descended upon their colony vessel like a plague, their bioships latching onto the hull, cutting through reinforced plating as if it were paper. Fiza's people were dying, dragged screaming into the corridors by creatures that knew only hunger and conquest. She had sent the distress signal to every known civilization in the sector. The Yithron Confederacy had responded with sympathy but explained their fleets were too far away. The Molten Collective had offered prayers. The Xanthari had simply stated that intervention would violate their non-interference doctrine. Fiza slumped against the console, purple tears streaming down her elongated face. They were alone. In minutes, maybe hours, the Krath would breach the command deck, and everything her people had built would be lost. Then the speakers crackled. "Colony ship, Luminous Dawn. This is UTMC Destroyer Valiant. We have received your distress call and are inbound. Hold your position. Help is coming. Repeat, help is coming." Fiza's breath caught. Humans, she had heard of them, the newcomers to the galactic stage. The species from a death world called Earth who had only achieved faster-than-light travel within the last century. Most species dismissed them as primitives, too aggressive, too reckless. But they had answered. Fiza gasped into the cum. "How long until you arrive?" 18 minutes, the human voice responded, calm and professional. "Can you hold that long?" Fiza looked at the tactical display. The Krath were everywhere, overwhelming the last security checkpoints. "I don't know. I don't think you will," the voice interrupted. And there was something in those words, a certainty that felt like steel. 18 minutes, keep your people away from the outer hull sections. We're coming in hot. Stein checked his rifle for the third time as the drop pod shook violently around him. Staff Sergeant Stein Zhao of the United Terran Marine Corps had seen combat on a dozen worlds, but this would be his first hot extraction against a hostile alien species. "Lock and load, Marines." Lieutenant Chen's voice cut through the pod. "We've got civilians dying in there. Rules of engagement are simple. Anything that's not a blue-skinned Zeltarian is a target. Krath don't take prisoners, so don't expect them to surrender." Stein felt the familiar pre-combat calm settle over him. Around him, his squad prepared, checking weapons, securing armor, running through hand signals one more time. They were 30 Marines in 5 drop pods, launching from the Valiant while it was still decelerating. The pod slammed into the colony, ship's hull with a thunderous impact. Breaching charges detonated, and suddenly they were inside. Smoke and sparks filling the air as the artificial gravity struggled to compensate. Stein was first through, his rifle up and ready. The corridor was chaos-damaged, lighting casting everything in red emergency glow. The walls scarred with plasma burns and worse. And then he saw them, the Krath. They were nightmares made flesh. Each one 3 meters of chitinous armor, serrated limbs, and mandibles that could shear through bone. A dozen of them were advancing down the corridor toward a makeshift barricade where several Zeltarians huddled. "Contact," Stein shouted, and opened fire. The humans had prepared for this. Intelligence had provided detailed information on Krath physiology, and the Marines' armor-piercing rounds had been specifically selected for this mission. Stein's first burst caught a Krath in what passed for its head, and the creature went down in a spray of green ICHOR. The Krath turned, screeching in rage and surprise. They had never faced humans before, had never encountered a species that could match their ferocity. They were about to learn. The corridor became hell. Plasma bolts from Krath bioweapons seared the air. But the Marines advanced in textbook formation, covering each other, laying down suppressing fire. Stein saw Private Rodriguez take a hit on her shoulder plate, saw her spin and keep firing without missing a beat. Grenades. Chen ordered the flashbangs detonated among the Krath ranks, and in that moment of confusion, the Marines closed the distance. Close quarters combat, humanity's specialty, learned in 10,000 years of warfare on Earth. Stein's combat knife found a weak point between a Krath's armor plates. He felt the creature's strength, felt it trying to bring those deadly mandibles around, but his training and his exoskeleton-enhanced muscles won out. The alien fell. 5 minutes. That's all it took for 30 human Marines to clear that corridor. Fiza watched in amazement. as the humans fought their way to the command deck. They moved like they had been born for war, coordinating with a precision that seemed impossible. When the last Krath fell, when Stein and his squad breached the command deck door, she finally understood what her people's philosophical texts had always warned about. Some species evolved on gentle worlds, some evolved on harsh ones, and some evolved on worlds so brutal that they became something else entirely, protectors by choice, warriors by necessity. Stein approached her, his helmet retracting to reveal a young face marked by several small scars. "Ma'am, Staff Sergeant Shao, UTMC, your ship is secure. Medical teams are inbound for your wounded." "You came," Fiza whispered. "Everyone else said they couldn't help, but you came." Stein smiled, and despite the violence she had just witnessed, it was gentle. "That's what we do, ma'am. Someone calls for help, and we answer." Every time, as more Marines secured the ship and human medical personnel began treating the Zeltarian wounded, Fiza understood something profound. Humanity might be young, might be rough around the edges, but they possessed something many older civilizations had lost. They still remembered what it meant to stand for those who couldn't stand for themselves. The aliens had cried for help, and through the smoke and fire, the humans had answered,